Kiyohomi Takiape, Ava Cordovi, Machiape, Malakota, and Taos Pueblo. My Tama is Joseph Conquilla Cordova. My Ina and my cause, Patricia Crow Cordova. I'm sixth generation from Chief Red Cloud. I'm the owner operator of AC and Associates. I'm a mother, community member, recent micro grant funding fundee from Return to Heart Foundation's Helpers and Healers micro grant. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for checking in and being here. Let's see who's in the chat. Happy Friday to Josette. That's my sister, boo boo boo, from New Mexico. I'm so excited that you're here, Sissy. If anybody else is here, let us know where you're checking in from the chat. It's so great to be here. Remember that I am going live every single day in the month of December. I've challenged myself to go live. And whether it's me here with no agenda, just talking to you, or a friend of mine, a sister of mine, a family member of mine jumping on with me, we're here to just have a chat. So thank you all for being here. I don't want to waste too much time because I have a lot of great energy that I want to engage with my guest today. She's an amazing individual. She's a sister. She is a all around amazing person, a woman, a sister, a mother, um, just a community helper and healer. And I'm really excited to bring her on. So let me introduce to you my summer solstice camp roomie, my camp sister, the one and only Leah Witzel. Boo, boo, boo. Hi,
Hello.
Leah. Yay! You don't even know how excited I am to have you here. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Sa oki nastu ni danaku ayo punakaki ayo abskani bikani. Hello, everybody. My name is Leah Wetzel. I'm from the Abskani Bikani clan of the Blackfeet Confederated Nation. I'm up here joining from Montana. It's pretty cold up here. I'm very honored to be joining my sister here today. And from day one, it was like we've always known each other. I think the first time we met was over the talking circle that Return to Heart had for all of us grantees for the helpers and healers. And yes, thank you for asking me to join you.
You're so welcome. I do remember that it was from the talking circle, and then so if you don't all know what Return to Heart Foundation, it's a foundation that helps women, Native women, and girls throughout Indian country, and they provide a micro grant or a mini grant to different events that different people are putting on. So every year, even this past year, I know that their grant funding just closed for a new round of funding that will come out in 2023. And basically, it's a micro grant to help you put on an event. And for me, I actually just recently had my event, which was in November. It was something that I called Taking Care of Our Caretakers Brunch. It was basically to honor those that helped take care of us during pandemic. So mental health providers, essential workers, hospital staff. I mean, I always thought like during pandemic and as we were starting to come out of it, I always thought um, there's so many mental health people that helped us during pandemic. Who are helping them? So my original goal or my original event was supposed to be a dreams, goals, and entrepreneur workshop. But as it grew and as I communicated with Return to Heart Foundation, I was like, can I change it? And she was like, you can basically do what you want with it, but it needs to be spent by December, the end of the year. Do what you want with it with regards to the event that you're holding. So if you change the name, all that. So it ended up being we had a cedar blessing for our community. Brian Frijo came out. We had Tina Calderon do an opening blessing song and land acknowledgement. And then we had other helpers and healers. We had two breakouts, and then we had a chef that actually works now with I think his name is, Sous Chef, or they just won a James Beard Award, and he's in, Minnesota or not Montana, that's where you're at. I think he's in Minnesota. But anyways, that's what Return to Heart Foundation is, and Leah, I believe you done your event yet? Did you do your event?
Yeah, so ours was, so I guess first a little background of what I do and who I am, and that'll kind of flow into what I did with my project and with my funding. Um, so I'm now the chair of the North Central Montana Human Trafficking and Missing Murdered Indigenous Peoples Task Force. Then I was the VP, um, and I'm also a drop-in center coordinator. We do technical assistant and training for the state of Montana drop-in center contracts. And then I'm also a trainer, a facilitator, and a peer support specialist. I'm a person of lived experience that's in recovery, and so when I put in for that funding, Montana's Peer Network is the other organization that I work for. Well, that's who I work for. North Central is who I volunteer for, and then I do independent contracting as well. But we were doing a pilot project with the 8th Judicial Veterans Court, and also holding space for some of the drug court participants as well. And we use that funding for ongoing materials, to provide free one-on-one support, past the pilot project. And then also we funded, I think we did 3 tickets for the, oh gosh, I hope I don't mess up the name. White Bison, Native Dads, um, and then Native Fathers and Families Association and Native American or Native Wellness Institute all put on a conference last year. And so we were able to buy 3 tickets. Hey, baby, I love you. Love you, bye. That's my daughter. Um, we were able to get tickets for them to join virtually. And so that was really, that conference was amazing. And
Mm.
so it was a lot of their first time joining a wellness conference like that, and so we're very grateful that we're able to allow them to join that as well. So ours has been, it wasn't one event, it was an ongoing talking circle, ongoing mentorship and support, and it was all based around peer support, because peer support is really what allowed me that, as well as a team of people. But peer support was very influential within my recovery, and also within my survivor story, and supporting me within that piece as well.
Mm. You're mentioning a couple of things that I know, but I want to make sure that our audience knows as well. So you mentioned peer support and you mentioned a drop-in center. What exactly is a drop-in center and what is peer support? Like peer, it would be me and you talking and you helping me through whatever it is that I'm struggling with. Is that right?
Yes, so the peer support model, the one that we follow is an evidence-based model. And that model can be really implemented into any workforce or any setting. Um, it doesn't have to necessarily be behavioral health or substance abuse or trauma. It can be peer to peer veterans. It could be
Mm,
peer to peer First Nations. It could be parents. And a new dynamic that Montana's Peer Network's bringing in is family peer support, and that's supporting the family member of like the guardian or the parent of a
mm,
child that has a physical or behavioral health situation going on. So being able to support that parent or guardian. So yeah, it can be very helpful, mentorship and having someone. It's having a counselor is great, because that's a spectrum, that peer support. We don't go to school for all of that, but the piece that's so helpful is that where people have lived experience, people that have gone through similar experiences. And I did a survey after my pilot project with the 8th Judicial Veterans Court, and I worked with First Nations,
mm,
just the First Nations. We welcomed anybody, but we were able to get some data to show that it's very helpful to have somebody that comes from intergenerational trauma, that comes from that historical trauma piece, that comes from maybe domestic violence, that has PTSD or depression, and being able to feel comfortable enough to talk about some of those hard subjects to talk about.
mm,
And then the drop-in centers, I guess I'll answer next. Drop-in centers, there's a few different models, but the ones that I am honored to be able to support, they're recovery drop-in centers, and they're actually peer-based programs. So they have peer support there as well. A lot of times, those are the first responders to people that are coming out of situations like human trafficked and family members of MMIP. And so these are facilities where people can go and engage in groups,
mm,
one-on-ones. They have events. It's really a nice way to, it's a hub of resources.
mm,
They support people in SOAR applications, SSI, SSDI, and
mm,
then also, collaborate and partner with other community entities.
mm. Wow, that's more than what I thought a drop-in center was. Um, so, thank you for sharing that. And I just wanted to make sure that our audience understood because a lot of the times we can use like MMIP or for over here in LA, UAII, and some people don't know what that is. But MMIP would be missing and murdered Indigenous people, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Always call me on using those acronyms because I get too comfortable in it. And that's the same thing with my boss. He's always telling me, let people know what that is because some people don't know.
Hmm. Wow. So it seems like you did a lot with your funding, and we were just talking chatting a little bit before this. So we met at the summer solstice as grantees. We met on the talking circle like we mentioned, but we also were able to go to a, I guess it's an annual thing because I was just having dinner with Gina from Return to Heart Foundation, and she said that they were going to have another one in June. She said it's usually in June and they're starting to get ready for it. So I was all excited because I want to go back and I hope that you go back. And
Yes.
it was such an amazing time. It was such a great time. Like when we first got there, we um we're in an Airbnb, and you had to like get to know each other, but we hit it off right from the beginning. We were in the same room, um and it was just great to meet somebody on a similar level and to hear what it is that you're doing in the Montana area. And I know you're thriving and striving out there.
I'm just trying to do what I can while I'm here on
Mhm,
Earth. You know,
mhm,
um, they say when we heal, 7 generations heal. You know, we're healing ourselves, 3 forward and 3 back. And
mhm,
a big part of my healing journey has been reconnecting to my traditional ways. And so that's a big piece of what I bring when I do my support, especially for First Nations and even non-natives that are interested, because we're taught by our elders to share. Those ways are to be shared, and they're meant to be preserved and shared respectfully.
mm.
And so definitely, it was great to have you there. I had anxiety. I don't know if it was from like the long layovers, like in Denver, so many people, in the midst of COVID, and I just kept praying and things. Oh man, it was just like you would right when you didn't think it could get any better, it got better, and
Mhm.
it was so nice to be in that home with um, big stars like Gina and you,
Brandy.
Brandy, yes, and oh man, Brandy's doing big things right now, and
Yeah.
Joni,
Yes.
to make those connections with all the women that we have, and those are going to be lifelong connections. Um, but definitely we were like little kids. Our beds were next to each other, and we were she was like, I remember you you said, do you mind if I keep the TV on? And I'm like, no, that's how I sleep too.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
TV
I
on.
always have the TV on. So it was perfect, and also in some of the other rooms, they didn't even have TVs, like
Yeah,
Joni's room or in Brandy's room.
right. And after you guys left, and thank you so much for gifting me with what you did, the earrings and the skirt and the shawl. Like, I really appreciate that. I wore that out to ceremony this past summer,
Mhm,
and everybody thought it was just beautiful. But
mhm.
yeah, after everybody left, I was there, and it was just me, Joni, and Gina, and everybody. Like, they were already working upstairs, and I had a few Zoom meetings, so it was bittersweet, but it was a beginning to continued sisterhood, continued friendships, and to be able to support one another. You're always sending me such inspirational and loving messages and emails, and I'm so grateful for that. And they always come right when I need them the most too.
Mhm. I'm really glad to hear that. I appreciate that. I had an amazing time. When I go places, and I've learned this from several different people, from my aunties to my sisters, I always take a little bit of where I come from. Maybe it might be some earrings that a local person made for me, or, being able to be near our downtown fabric district. They sell those Cookem scarves for really, like, less than. So to be able to take those and pass those out, and I even had, like, the knapsacks that I had, and to pass them out. Those are just little ways of showing my appreciation. And I learned so much from you. I mean, your energy and just that spirit that you have to connect and want to be better than what we were just yesterday, you know, to feel that from you and to get that from you. I hear and I see all the things that you're doing, because I say I hear because I've been listening to your podcast. So the
Oh,
podcast that you have on Montana, and one of the podcasts that you had, you were speaking to a gentleman that was one of your brother's best friends.
Okay, Calvin. Calvin
Yes,
Gan. Yes.
yes. And he was just saying some words that really touched me because that day that I listened to that podcast, I was leaving from a men's talking support group that I facilitate. So he was talking about how he had met somebody and they were saying, asking him if he was a boy or if he was a man, and I was just like in awe of what I learned from what you say. You're saying truth and you're just having a general conversation with him, but that so inspires me to be helpful with a men's group that I'm new to. So, and also you have your Saturday talking circles as well, right?
Yep, we have our Saturday talking circles, and where that really came from, it was inspired by the veteran participants of the 8th Judicial Veterans Court. I started doing independent contracting and providing, actually, Calvin and I. Calvin was doing a drum group, and I did a Wellbriety group every Wednesday at a drop-in center here called the Sober Life. And these gentlemen, and there was a woman too, but these folks, they're pretty early in recovery and pretty early in their program. And somebody had said, hey, too bad we couldn't have something on a Saturday night, because Saturday nights are very triggering for me. Saturday nights are times that I had bad habits, and I thought, why not? Let's do, at least a Zoom. And so we've been doing that. It'll be coming up on 2 years in March,
Hmm.
providing that, and that's posted on. It's a Facebook event under United Legacies LLC, and then it's also posted on White Bison's Talking Circle and groups, which I have to update the link, send that over to them. But that's really where that came from. And then we built the Red Road of Support, or it's called Red Road of Healing now, the Facebook group, to really, support others, give some inspirational feedback, any trainings or webinars or these types of things, be able to share on there. And I think we started with maybe 11 people, and now we have, I think last time I checked, it was like 2.8,
Hmm.
that 2,800 around there. So it's really been growing, and yeah, we get people from Canada to California, all across the nation show up on there, and it's been really nice. But yeah, it was. I was started doing those podcasts with Montana's Peer Network. About this time last year, we did a series of Indigenous wellness, we called it, and we had like 6 different podcasts, and then we did a Facebook Live with some elders and some other folks around the whole country that are doing some great work um, within recovery, within behavioral health at our First Nations.
Hmm. You're doing all kinds of great work, and I love that you say lived experience and that you explained that. Actually, on my resume, I was just looking at it because I was just looking at my resume. I needed to update it. And under my resume, I have because they ask for studies and or like where you went to school and stuff. And I had put what did I put? I had put I just looked at it today. So I had put something like uh indigenous studies, lived experience. And I put that on my resume because it's every day that I live in Indian studies or cultural studies. I don't know exactly what I put and I'll look it up, but that's what I put, like indigenous studies, lived experience, current. So they know that I'm a lived experience individual that's is indigenous as well. Anyways, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, well, that's that's yes, exactly. And who knows better than somebody that has that lived experience and that's lived through it and is living it.
Hmm.
Um, one of my favorite elders uh, was talking about a project they did here in the state with they had some indigenous elders, and then they had like professors, and they were like trying to measure the level of knowledge, and our people's knowledge was beyond what those professors could live up to, and that's because of that lived experience, and because that ancestral knowledge. You think about it, our people knew about the stars and elements of science way beyond way beyond the westernized ways.
Hmm.
And so there's nothing like that lived experience for sure.
Yeah. And as you say that about the stars and all of that, we actually, when we were at the summer solstice, got to hear about the Star Nation from an elder when we also were fed bison stew. And that was the day that we all went to go pick herbs and got to meet Elaine. I think her name was Elaine, right? I hope her name was
Yes,
Elaine.
yes.
Yeah.
I think so. Oh,
So,
it's beautiful out there.
mhm, mhm,
I dream about that place now.
mhm,
Like, I literally dream about that place. There's something magical about that whole summer solstice that Return to Heart Foundation put on.
mhm,
Um, Besides the interconnectedness amongst us, the sisterhood, just being able to learn the knowledge of that land and the real stories. History books tell us one thing, but to relearn the real truth of our people intertribally. And I love being able to sport intertribally because, um, being able to see past that line that was set. That line was never meant to be set there. We're all of the same, and so I found a lot of similarities between um, between their ways and our ways as well. It was great to sit there and listen to the stories of the stars and the true story about what happened there.
mhm. There was so many different elements of that trip from the bus ride up there, from all of us talking to playing games to us visiting that famous hotel that was, where we picked up everybody else, or even on I believe it was like the second day when we went to that auditorium and we were able to sit and engage and um befriend Tiana Spotted Thunder, and hear her
Mm.
sing, remember? And just the aunties that were up there, man, when she said close your eyes and then just think I just started bawling. And then, she was just say if you want to speak, you can speak. And one of the things that I kept saying, and it still means something to me, is like every time, a lot of the times when I go back home, it's for like funerals. It's for something. And this time it wasn't that. It was a time for me to just be able to connect with other sisters. And one of the big humongous things that meant so much to me was to be able to visit where our creation story was made,
Mhm.
in the Black Hills, and being able, you got to walk down all those steps. Me and Gina and everybody else took a elevator because my knees are bad. But tell us about that experience too. How did you feel when walking down that step? I know anxiety was in some people and a lot of people just because the steps and being enclosed, but how did you feel about that?
Well, when I was explaining it first to my boss, because we did a podcast on that whole trip, I forgot the name of the cave because I guess there's like three different or 2 or 3 different caves. But so when our group went down, they needed somebody to volunteer to be last. And of course, anxiety hit when I got in there, and nobody was volunteering. And I thought, I got to do the right thing. So I'm like, I'll do it. And so I was the last one. And I tell you what, it was like the further we went down, first of all, it was just beautiful in that cave. But the further we went down closer to, lower and lower, and I think it was 167 feet or something like that. Um, it was like being one with the earth. You could hear her, you could feel her, you could feel her being happy to see us all happy there together. Um, and I was like the photographer for a few of them, take a picture of me over here, because they have the lights set up in there. And so I was just looking at those pictures actually today, and earlier this week as well. But yeah, it was like just totally being connected to Mother Earth. And it gets so cold down to the core. And I thought it'd be the other way around. I thought it'd be hot. But at one point, when you got to the very bottom where you girls came in from the elevator, they turn all the lights out. They turn all the lights out, and it was just it was just quiet and peaceful. But of course, there was a couple kids crying, snotty kids crying, and no, I'm just kidding. Whining. There's always Indians. You're always gonna have some kid crying in the background. But yeah, it was a really beautiful experience. And then, what was I was trying to think, what was the name of the girl that was at the tombstone or the mass grave? Something Bird, and they brought her back from the East Coast. They found her in that massacre because they were saying in that massacre that there was, history books tell us there were no survivors.
Oh
But
yeah.
she was a survivor. They found when that general went back, they found her underneath some bodies as a baby, and then there was 6 survivors, right, from that massacre down there. And I just thought, what a way historically to show that we are survivors.
Yeah. I don't remember her name, but I remember us standing outside of the cemetery and them saying the story. So I'll definitely have to look up her name so we'll know. But recently this year I found out that just this year I found out that my grandpa was one of my great grandpas, my grandma's grandpa, on my mom's side. He was at Wounded Knee, and they shot him, and the last thing that he asked his wife was to light his pipe so that he can, be one. And just seeing that and being at that gravesite, I went to, there was a tree, and I had walked over there, and I had put my hand on it, and I could just feel this breeze, and I can hear the sound, and I don't know why, but it was like the sound of people like talking, but you guys were far away. There was nobody around me. But just to think that, back when that happened, it was snowy, and it was like it was just crazy to see and hear what had happened, yet me standing there as my mother's child and as a survivor in just general life. She went through stuff. She went through all of this historical trauma. That is definitely a part of what we live as Indian people. But now, I mean, we can struggle with our lives. We can be in a different place and in a different chapter in our lives. From I'm a recovering alcoholic, so from being a recovering alcoholic to now, people not even knowing anything about me being recovering alcoholic or how bad I was, now they see me as, this individual that wants to make change in my community. So we are definitely making changes. And I love that you say three changes in the future generations and three changes back. And I feel that, I just did a women's talking circle on Thursday, and I talked to them about them being at this certain generation. There'll always be a seventh generation. I always used to think, oh, the seventh generation. I'm the sixth generation. My daughter's the seventh generation. So her generation is what our ancestors prayed for. I always just thought about her, but then somebody told me there will always be a seventh generation from her. There'll be still generations that we need to plan for. So I do this exercise where I have people stand up, and I had these women stand up, and you put the shoulders on the person in front of you, and you ask them to close your eyes, and then you ask the first person to move in a certain way. And those people that have their hands on the other, I ask them also to follow the person in front of them. So we'll move to the right, and then you'll see this longo line, and everybody will move to the right. And then I'll move them to the left, and then everybody will move to the left, and then I'll have them like jump up, and you'll see like everybody jumping up through the lines. And as they open their eyes and as they sit back down, I tell them, "Did you feel that? Did you feel from what the first person did?" And they're all like, "Yeah, we felt that." And I said, "If you think that you don't make a difference in this world, look at all that through the line. Look at all how you've made a difference, and what you do, it'll affect everybody behind you and everybody in front of you." It's just a way for me
Mm,
to make sure that sometimes it's easier to be in be involved and see things rather than just talk about it. But they really get that feeling of, yes, I need to be the change. I need to be that change maker. Nobody's going to do it for me. I'm not going to rely on alcohol. I'm not going to rely on drugs, but I have to be that person to make that change. So just by doing that simple activity, I think it talks about seventh generations, but there will always be a seventh generation, and we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. We
mm.
have changed things and made things happen, and it's um it's my responsibility to make sure that my grandchildren, my takojas, my makus, they know who they are and where they come from, because a lot of times, you hear people say, I don't know who I am. I don't know where I come from. Yeah, it was never taught to me. Never, nobody ever taught me. Well, it's never too late to learn. I always like to say that it's never too late to learn. I'm learning my language now. I was just on a class on Wednesday, and it's hard for me. Yes, but it's also something that we need to make sure to do, to be language warriors, to be, individuals, change makers, and all that stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I just love that. I love hearing you talk about that. And that's one thing, um, you're so great about getting us together collectively and getting us to do activities like that. I love that. Gina knew to lean on you when we were on our bus ride up there. She's like, I'm gonna call on Abra because you're gonna, you know, having us do little activities. We were laughing, we are connecting, and just hearing your stories and hearing like that right there. I love that.
Mm,
I'd love to implement that into some of the, I do. We used to call it cultural sensitivity, and then I took Indigenous Visions, cultural humility. They did a master training on that. But I do another cultural training through Montana's Peer Network, and we do an activity that I actually learned from White Bison, um, where you take a ball of yarn and you all go into a circle, and we do it at the end of the training, and we'll say something positive that we're taking from that space, and then we throw it to the person across from us until we just have this web of yarn, and we say, okay, one person step forward, and the effect that that has on that yarn, that's our networking. Now we're all collaboratively here together, and all it takes is one person stepping back from that, and that loosens that tight network, and then we step back and tighten it up. But I just love activities like that, and us as native people, us as indigenous people, um, we're we're visual learners, we're hands-on learners, and I was told, when you're using your hands, you're out of your mind. When we're actually using our hands to do things, and that's the kind of people, we are meant to be, is constantly using our hands, whether it's for beading, whether it's for like we were doing, picking those natural herbs. I actually have some right above here, some of that, almost said green tea, peppermint tea.
Mm,
I got some of those peppermint leaves still. But
awesome.
yeah, I mean, I just, when that Return to Heart Foundation came out with that other round of grants, I shared it with the Indigenous drop in centers. I shared it with as many people as possible, just to spread the good news of
Mm,
what they're doing. Sarah, she just came out with a book. Well, we kind of got a sneak peek of what was to come,
mhm,
but her sister, their book came out, and then I ordered Brandy's book too.
mhm.
And so it's just great to see all of those sisters from our trip just doing great things. What
Yeah.
have you been doing down there? I see you doing your consulting and your independent stuff getting stronger down there too.
Thank you. So I just in November I did my event. That was the first in-person event that I've had ever, but it was so amazing. I also have different contracts with different people. So I have a contract with Paku Cultural Community Services for Paku Wellness Hour 2.0. I also do contracting with UCLA. So I help do facilitate information to core academy social workers. So new social workers that are in the academy, we teach them about ICWA and engaging with community and how they need to engage with community because that's part of what they need to do. Um, so I have that contract. I also have a contract with the Department of Mental Health in LA. So I'm going to be doing a positive Indian parenting training to therapists throughout DMH, throughout LA County. And I also am going to I do youth workshops for Teaching, which is it means one for a youth group out here for this Fernandino Tatavian Band of Mission Indians. They have a nonprofit, so I do work for them, workshops, and then just that's why I was updating my resume because I need to start um, looking for more stuff. And I actually sent just a message today to the group, our summer solstice group, and I want to start writing and looking for more funding to do similar events to what I just did with regards to the caretakers. So there's a lot of like issues around fentanyl and Narcan, and um, also there's women's support group that I'm a part of, an all native women's support group that I'm a part of. But I'd like to do stuff around that as well. So just looking for funding to continue this great work. I also have a contract with Akua Behavioral Health, and I do, like I said, women and men's talking circles. I'm very busy. I'm also a secondary caregiver to my father in law who is in his um, has a lot of health issues, so I'm helping with that. But I'll be traveling to Las Vegas tomorrow to see my takoshas, my grandchildren, and spending the Christmas season with them for 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks, and then I'll come back to LA to continue doing work and do I like to do what I love to do. I always get these big old crazy ideas to do something, and then when I tell my friends, they're all like, "Let's do it." So, um yeah, I'm just continuing to be just a little bit better than I was before.
Well, let's do it. I know.
Yes.
I wanted to connect you with my cousin. She's down there. She's working for, uh, gosh, what is it down there? Indian Healthcare down
Mhm.
in Alameda, California,
Oh,
maybe
okay.
San Francisco area, the Bay Area.
Oh,
She's
okay.
out there. Um, and she's been a big part of the Talking Circle and also the Red Road of Healing. So shout out to my cousin Kelly Rutherford. But I'd love to connect you with her.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. You're amazing. I'm so proud of you. And I'm so honored to be able to watch your journey as well. It seems like so much has happened just since we all were at the summer solstice.
Mhm.
Just seeing everybody taking off is amazing. Uh,
Yeah.
I was honored with being awarded. It was called the Innovated Montana Board of Crime Control Innovative Community Improvement Award for
Mm.
2022. And
Yay.
yeah, and
Congratulations.
so thank you. And so, you know, like I said, I'm somebody in recovery and somebody of lived experience, and I just try to stay, remember those teachings that were taught. Try to be as humanly humble as possible, and so I go down there to accept this award, and I'm praying that the words that I speak is what needs to be heard, and Creator lead me. And I go up there, and the lady before me won the Lifetime Improvement Award, and the person that acknowledged her was on a video, like did a video because they couldn't come. And so I go up there, and the person that acknowledged me was on a video, but they couldn't get it on the screen.
Mm.
But I could hear the voice, and I heard the voice, and I just started crying.
Mm.
Uh, it was my cousin Donnie Wetzel. He's been he's been huge about the movement of Indian education for all out here, which my great uncle started. Um, but I could hear his voice, but I couldn't see him quite yet, and I choked up and I was crying out there, and um, just spoke from the heart. The lady before me, she had all these amazing degrees, and all that, she was a lawyer, and she did all these amazing things. And my story started out with, well, I was somebody that was in the justice system
Mm.
and got out and changed my life around, and got peer support during one of the hardest times of my life. And so yeah, it was different, but it was acknowledged in such a good way.
Mm.
And that's what I try to share with those that I support is, um, how much our voice is needed, how
Mm.
much the state, the legislation, how much they need to hear from us about what's worked and what hasn't, and what can be done better.
Mm.
um, I brought a sister down from Blackfeet country, to one of the attorney general's human trafficking symposiums here, and she didn't really know what to expect. And the reaction she got from sharing who she was and her story of being a survivor of family member, husband of MMIP, and the reaction that she got, it changed her life, because
Mhm.
we can too have a bias of coming from our where we're at because we don't know. Historically, we haven't had a good reaction when we've gone to those spaces,
Mhm.
and so being able to see that what we're saying is received in a good way, I just love that. I just love being able to mentor and support people so they can then step up and speak as well.
Yeah, being a support to those around you. And I hear you when you say, historically, we're not in those spaces, but also, you know, I don't, we all have different lived experiences, and I haven't been in the judicial or the I don't know, the judicial system. However, if somebody has been in the judicial system and that's part of their lives, I'm sure it's a very scary place to go up there and want to talk to those people that normally are looking down at you or taking you to jail or, trying to correct the actions of whatever it was. Why would somebody like that want to make their voice heard when it was never really heard before. But as you change and as you live and as you um, are sober and as you want to make change for not only you, but your community and the way that things happen, it definitely is a much needed um, thing for people to use their voices because like yourself, you've went through so much and look how now you've gotten recognize from different entities that appreciate your hard work. So thank you for doing the work that you're
Thank
doing. It's
you.
so important.
Thank you, and thank you for your work you're doing. We got to get together and collaborate
Yeah.
somewhere, somehow. I know I was thinking about, taking a trip maybe this spring or this summer, taking my kids, and you're the first person I thought of. I'm like, I gotta go out and see my girl.
Yeah.
Um, because and that's what the summer solstice is about, also acknowledging what a summer solstice is,
Hmm.
and what a solstice is, but also acknowledging the power of of sisterhood and interconnectedness and our First Nations. Hearing Sarah Eagleheart and Gina and Joni talk about um, the percentage, why they got into phila- phila- my get tongue
Philanthropy.
tied, philanthropy,
Philanthropy.
why they got into that, and why they specifically want to support Indigenous First Nations women, Indigenous women across the country, because we're, you know, data wise, we get low percentage of that funding that comes out, of
Hmm.
any funding. And one of the first things you said was, you wanted to change your event around your project that you put in for the funding. And that's one thing about Return to Heart Foundation's funding, is that I'm learning through the work I do, a lot of the funding, there's like strict lines of what you can use the funding for and what you can't. And with this funding, it's so open, you can do what you want, and people are doing, all the sisters are doing such amazing work with that funding because they have that capability to do
Hmm.
what they want with it.
Yeah. I definitely want to go into the next realm of securing funding, writing grants. When I had dinner with Gina, we were talking about it, and she gave me some great ideas about looking at previous grants from other people that have been written and just seeing, like, reading through them and seeing what I can pick up. I'm not really I'm not an academic, so I don't have good words. Like I was even telling her, like I have all these beautiful things that happen. There was a cedar blessing by Brian to each community member. There was, an opening acknowledgement and land acknowledgement. But how do you put those in words to a funder that is like funding millions and thousands of dollars? How do you do that? So those are the next steps that I want to talk about and think about. And then yes, let's definitely work together. I did see that and your you recently had a conference. Um, maybe a couple of months ago. I was even thinking, man, maybe I can go out to one of those conferences and just see what it is that you guys do. Or I was thinking the same thing of going out there to visit you because Montana is beautiful country and I would love to come out and visit you all too.
Oh, I'd love to have you out here, definitely. And I took a grant writing course, and I also took that SAMHSA how to write a competitive grant.
Mm,
And just like I was saying earlier, we're people that we learn hands on. And I think that this specific funding that we put in for, and that we got, and that we got again, that will, you know, it's good practice.
mm,
And by connecting with those who we have there, um, that networking there, we'll be able to support one another. Um, One thing I've noticed is, um, there's a lot of different funding coming out right now,
mhm,
um, specific to some things that I'm very passionate about, and that's bringing peer support into the justice system,
mm,
and bringing peer support into human trafficking and missing murder indigenous people task forces. When I spoke at the AG symposium, that's what I talked about. And the lady that I presented with, we collaborated, and she actually did a best practices
mm,
off of the model she built. She asked me all these questions, and I didn't really get it at first, and then it all came together in the end.
mm.
She used that. She used my recovery journey and my survivor journey, um, as a model. Like, she built a mind map of who it was that supported me, what helped, and then she showed it there. And she had me talk, and then she did her best practices on that, and
Wow.
said, we need to have this be survivor led.
Mm,
We need to listen to those of lived experience, because they're the ones that live through it, and they're the ones that know what it is that works. And so we'll get there. Creator's gonna bless us. He's gonna bless us to be able to do these things that we're so passionate about, because they need to be done. And we're bringing up subjects that need to be talked about. And we obviously have the support that we need. We got Gina and Sarah and Joni and all those sisters.
mhm.
We got each other.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so great to see you. It's so great to hear you. And I would love to possibly connect with that individual that helped you do that, what you just talked about. Because that's what I need to, I always say I don't have a website because I don't know what I would put up there. Or, I don't, I'm creative, but I need somebody to help me to be more creative. And just like you were saying, it was great that she put your story into, you know, that data. So I would love to connect with her. I would love to see that from you. And I'm just really thankful, sister, that you're here and that you're always, although you're always busy, I know that you have such a special place in my heart, and I appreciate you. And also I know that your kids um are learning from such a powerful individual, and I just appreciate you. And I'm thankful that you came on tonight and that you're joining me. And We're definitely gonna cross paths again, whether it be virtual and we could do more of this, or whether it be in person. And we're gonna see each other soon.
Definitely, and it's been an honor and always a privilege. And anytime I could be a support or connect, and what any tools I have, they're your tools too, and we
Mm,
could build something together. I built my own website.
mm.
I'm not a techie person. I mean, I taught myself from doing an email on up. Uh, so if you ever need help with that, just let me know, and I always put time aside for you.
Thank you. I know that you sent over your information about your website and are your links too, and I do want to be able to share them. So I'm actually gonna bring up and show your website so that people can see it. I don't know if you
Thank
could
you.
see it.
For a second there, and it
Okay,
went away.
hold on. And then people can connect with you on Facebook and on Instagram, Instagram and LinkedIn, and I have those too listed. So this is her website. This is the one that we were talking about, the Warrior Down Healing Talking Circle, right?
Yeah, you joined one night and there wasn't anybody on there that night, so I shut it down early. I felt bad. I'm like, yeah, there's a picture of all of us.
Yeah. I'm not in that picture. I left early, but it was a great time.
Well, I'll have to put that picture of you and me on there somewhere then,
That one
because
of all
that's
of
a
us,
really good picture. Me and
yeah.
you.
That one too of all of us in front of the when we were at the cemetery. Remember when that
Mm,
RV and everybody
yeah.
needed to go to the restroom?
And those guys are trying to, sister. Sister, you buy these earrings.
Oh, you
I
sell
think
stuff too?
you did. Yeah.
What? I had to
Yeah,
look at that.
I have it connected to, so I go through Shopify and it's connected to, it's connected to another app. I'll show you all of that stuff. You could do that too. And it's, um, reason I use Shopify, it's what, there's my cousin Kelly, Rutherford, right in the middle there with Theta New Breast.
Mm,
Shout out to Theta New Breast,
I
the
know.
badass auntie of them all.
Yeah, she is.
And then those are just some interviews, that I did on TV down below.
Nice. Nice, nice. It's been so awesome to speak to you tonight. I know it's been a long time coming, and we definitely have to continue to meet more often. And, let's plan and work together to do something, a big event. So even if
Yes,
it's online, we can ask all our sisters to come and join us, and then they can have a portion of it. Let's do something like that. We have to.
we got to. We
Yeah.
have to. And you and I should start meeting at least once a month,
Yeah.
and we can start looking at what's out there for resources for us to build on what we're wanting to.
Yeah. That'd be great. All right, sister. Well, it was good to talk to you. I don't want to take the rest of your Friday night, but I'm thankful that you're here. We're going to be meeting regularly. And can you hear me? Can you
Now
hear
I
me?
can.
Okay.
You
It
went
went
out
away.
just a bit for a minute.
Yeah, my internet, I don't know. I was trying to plug it in, but there's different she can be found on Facebook and on LinkedIn, and you can find her all over the place, and you can find her in Montana too. That's Good
out
thing,
here in
though.
the cold. I'll be building an igloo out back. No, I'm just kidding.
How cold is it over
Oh,
there?
oh gosh. I want to say it was like 19 degrees earlier.
Oh my
It
God.
was, well, I have a bad knee too. And my brother, he used to tease my mom about hurting a couple days before the weather changed. And
Mm.
I'm like, oh, okay, I'm getting old because my knee locked up for a couple days. It was
Mm.
below zero just within this past week. So, yeah, it's pretty cold. I'd love to be down there in California right about now.
Yeah, it's definitely not that. And right now it's like 69 degrees. Our 72 outside, and other people are saying that it's 22 in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So
Wow.
it's just crazy all over the place. But it's winter, and we expect that from Mother Earth, and um, I'm thankful for all the winters she gives us, or all the seasons she gives us too, because it means different things, and we grow with it, and we understand it, and now you could tell us you can become a weather girl with your needs.
Oh, God, I just snorted.
That's when you know that's a real laugh.
That's right.
Well, sister, it was good to see you. It was good to meet with you. Thank you for joining me on my live. I'll be doing this all month long, until December 31st. So join me again. I'll be on tomorrow at 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So thank you again for being here. I love you with all my heart. And we will see you soon.
See you soon, sister. Love you too.
Okay. Love you. Everybody, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. We will see you tomorrow. So join in, and I'll see you at 12.